Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, I'm BrotherofHavok, and this time I'm finally making good on one of my promises. How to become better at Planetary Conquest matches. Now this isn't going to be about how you play or what to do in the match. This video will be all about what to do before you officially get into the match. So let's carry on to the first of 8 steps. Okay, in the PSN menu, specifically in the PlayStation Network column, there's a thing called Trophy Collection. Go to it, press triangle on it, and go down 1 to the switch modes option. Most of you will have this set to online mode, but you want to switch it to offline mode while playing Dust. Because there are actually 0 trophies, this causes the PSN network to regularly send trophy info requests to the Tranquility server into your account. Because it doesn't actually get a response in return or anything in return, it assumes that it hasn't got the information, so it continually sends the requests. It doesn't do much, but over time these requests pile up and take up a lot of RAM. It tends to increase the lag the longer you play, so turn it off and you should see less lag the longer you play. Now we go over to the display settings for number 2. Of course, make sure that you're using the right video output settings, but the biggest thing to change is the resolution. Dust is only at 720p and 480p, but it uses the 720 better due to a graphical update recently. So it's best to remove the other options, the 1080p and the 1080p-i. Though if you want to leave the 480, that's okay to leave. If your settings are set to something higher than the PlayStation tries to set it at that resolution, but because it can't, it causes memory leaks and some issues. I recommend just removing everything besides the 720, that way there's no problems, and you just set it at 720. 480 is ugly anyway. Okay, number 3. Going back to settings, but this time in the game itself. You can reduce the amount of processing requirements by simply turning down the graphic settings. This will make the game uglier though, and I find that it actually hurts my ability to spot longer range foes or properly aim in long range combat, but it's an option for those of you who lag all the time. I personally, keep my settings at high just because it's easier to see things at longer ranges and it's easier to tell what's going on. Okay, number 4, reducing the number of chat channels you have. I have a ton of these things, but each of these chat channels are actually created within the Tranquility universe or server. So what's actually happening is that every fraction of a second, it's sending an update request to the server and getting a refresh page of the chat dialogue. Reducing the number of chat channels reduces the requests sent out and therefore reduces the amount of RAM taken up on your system and internet. So it's, best to remove as many chat channels as possible. You can't remove things like Corp, Local, Alliance, Squad, or Team, but, if you save the name, write it down on a piece of paper, and then simply join it later, it helps reduce lag. Number 5, choosing a region server. In Planetary Conquest, this is critical. Basically, it's just another option in the Dust 514 settings menu, but what it is choosing the server where the server is hosted, There used to be more options, but now we only have automatic, America, Asian, and Europe. Basically, you want to choose the region closest to you. For me, it's America. Do not choose automatic. What this hopefully does is when the game is created, I say that with quotation marks, and the distance that your signals have to travel affects the lag or latency of the game. So choosing a region that's closest to you should make you have the least amount of lag. Fingers crossed, hopefully. Now, it doesn't always work, but I'll get into more info about that later. Okay. Number 6. I'm sure someone has said in one of my videos, or to someone who has played in a PC, reset now, or something like, I'm resetting my PlayStation. What does this mean? Well, for some, it just means that they quit the Dust game itself and then go back in. For others, they log out of their character and log back in. But for me, it means shutting off the PS3 and restarting the whole system. I do this before each match, by the way, or at least I try to. Why should I do this? Why should you do this before a match? Because the longer you play, the more memory leak occurs. I'm not sure if this is caused by Dust's programming or the PlayStation's, but essentially there is less RAM available as you continue playing. And we're talking about half an hour is, even with half an hour, you can still get a bunch of lag build up. When you reset the system, it clears the temp memory or RAM. So resetting the PS3 before you go into a war barge, then reforming squads and finally going in will reduce the current lag to 0, hopefully, as if you had just started playing. It's, it still might not be as great because the PS3s tend to overheat over time, so that might cause some other effects that I'm not too sure about. Number 7, taking the server. What is it? Well, basically, when a game is created, it has to be hosted on a server. This goes back to number 5, choosing a region server. If you were to play against someone in Asia, but all your team is in America, then you don't want to play a match hosted on Asian servers. And then someone could say something like, but we set our region servers so that we play on American servers, right? Yes and no. You set your server so that if you are the first person in, the server host will be closest to you based on the region you chose. But if someone else gets into the game first, the server is based in the region that they chose. So when we say things like squad leads, take your squads in as soon as possible and take the server, what we're saying is that we want you to be the first one into the game so that Dust514 chooses a server and server region closest to you and not someone else possibly on the other team. This will reduce latency and lag for your team, or more likely just for yourself. Now, how to take the server. Basically, there's really only one good method, and it's not spamming the X button when the countdown timer on the PC match reaches 0. The best way that I have found to be first into the server is to regularly press X and O until you see now appear. What I think this does is sends update requests to Tranquility. Spamming the X button just waits for it to do it itself, and you don't know when that's going to send a request for an update or something like that. If you are the first ones in, you should see a number out of 32 equal to that of your squad. So if you have 5 people in your squad, including yourself, then you should see 5 out of 32, and that means you've taken the server, and there's a server host that's closer to you than hopefully than the other team. All right, moving on. Number 8, loading your suit. I get a lot of questions about this one. The last thing that you can do to become better at Planetary Conquest is to get into battle faster in the beginning of the match. This is done by loading your suits, and it is fairly a simple process. First, if for some reason you can't reset your PS3, then go into your fittings window and duplicate the suit that you were using last, not your favorite one, the one you're using last. This will make a copy. Then delete the original and edit the name to remove the word copy or edit however you want. What this does is in the next match, it will automatically set your favorite suit to be selected first when you try to spawn in. Okay, next, presuming that you have set the suit that you intend to use first to your favorite, you need to load the suit. This is simply done by going back into the fitting window and selecting edit on your favorite suit. You should see a loading circle appear. When that finishes, you can see the suit and the weapon that it's holding, then your suit is loaded. What does loading the suit mean to you? Well, have you ever been in a match where you start to spawn, but the countdown timer is at 0 and you haven't spawned yet? That is because Dust is taking information from the Tranquility server about the suit you're trying to use. A few extra seconds is taken in order for that process to complete and for you to spawn in. Loading your suit does that in the warbard so that when the timer hits 0, you spawn in at 0. It's not much, but it's a critical difference in PC matches and in faction warfare matches where you have scouts blitzing the cities or dropships flying in. A few extra seconds is difference between 50 and 100 meters sometimes. All right, so if you do these 8 steps, and there could be more, I don't know all of them. I assume I know most of them, but I don't know all of them. Then you should be able to get into battle faster and stay in battle longer with less lag building up. It doesn't always work. There are still matches where you will suffer from lag, and there are other things you can do if you're willing to spend some money. But this gives you the best free way of improving your experience in PC battles. As always, I'm Brother of Havoc. Good night and pleasant dreams.